All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, May 17th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, on Mondays, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host on Mondays, Mr. Big Marcel, as well as my co-host on Thursdays, who's joining us on a Monday, Mr. AJ Schullo. And I want to get both of you guys on because we had a great card on the weekend, UFC 262. First off, how's it going, guys? Marcel, start with you, man. I know you got your second COVID shot, so you're all COVID-free now. How's it going, man?
Yeah, man, sexy 24/7, as you know. So yeah, I'm all good.
Of course, always.
Yeah, I'm all good. Happy to talk some MMA, and good to have AJ on today as well. Always cool.
AJ, how's it going with you, man? Everything good?
Yeah, good. I just found out about Marcel's shot. I actually just had my second shot today, so something we have in common there. Yeah, I think you did too. Did you not?
I had my first shot. I only got my first, but I the thing is, in Canada, like, a lot of people don't even have their first one, so I was feeling lucky to get the first one. But yeah, second one's in August. They're rolling it out a little bit more here, but we've been a lot slower up here in Canada than obviously you guys in the States, and then you guys over in Holland apparently we're faster than us, which I don't understand at all. I mean, Canada's a pretty big country, but apparently we're slow at this. Anyways, glad to get you guys on the show. Obviously, like I said, I want to talk about UFC 262. So, I said last week during the prediction show, I said, I don't think anyone can have a really good read in this card. This card is very difficult to predict. I went 6-6 on my predictions. My bets were 2-2. AJ, I know you had a slight profit, if I'm not mistaken, on your night, so that's good. But I think you guys both went 6-6 as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, like, for overall picks, I believe that's what it was. I think we all did. It was kind of a tough card to predict, man. There was a lot of obviously tight fights, as we knew about. Let's start with the main event. We'll work our way down, guys. So, I got to give myself a pat in the back on this one, guys, because I went out there and said Oliveira's going to knock out Chandler, and everyone called me an idiot once again. Just like they all called me an idiot when I said Blachowicz was going to beat Adesanya, and like when I said Rose was going to beat Whaley. I'm an idiot, right, guys? So that's okay. But no, it's okay. The people in this chat know that I'm not dumb, but I did another podcast where people had some comments about me, and I was just like really surprised because I know the sport pretty well, guys, and I saw the improvements that he was making on the feet. And I've seen Michael Chandler get knocked out multiple times, and his durability absolutely is an issue. It looked like he gassed out pretty hard after that first round. I love the fight for as long as it lasted. It was a great matchup. Obviously, Oliveira ends up winning via second-round knockout. And like I said, AJ, I got to give myself some props on that one, man, because I'm in a pool where you have to pick the method. Almost everyone had a submission. I was like, man, if I don't pick sub, then I'm going to go down in points by 2 points, right? So I was like, okay, you know what? Just take a shot in the knockout because you know you can do it. So he gets a knockout, but it ended up breaking even for the night because I thought Araujo won that fight and I lost. Everyone else had Chukagian. So I thought I was the sharp guy who's going to get ahead in the pool. Turns out I'm the same way. But let's talk about this fight, guys. I'll start with you, AJ. Michael Chandler gets finished by Oliveira. Give me your thoughts on this matchup, man. It was a great fight for as long as it lasted.
Yeah, I'll own it. I got the prediction wrong here. I didn't bet Chandler, but I did bet the fight doesn't go the distance. In hindsight, I maybe could have bet the under rounds prop there. I saw the fight doesn't go the distance minus 360, and I just jumped on it. But as far as the fight goes, man, it was awesome for as long as it lasted. Like, performance of the night bonus to Oliveira, rightfully so. He just showed off his ever-improving striking. He's always been a guy that's kind of had underrated power in the sense that, like, if you look at his resume, he doesn't have a lot of, like, knockouts, but he does hurt a lot of durable guys with his hands. So I guess in hindsight, especially to you, it's not a huge shock that he got the knockout. But I got to applaud Chandler, too, because, like, look, dude, there's not many people that get out of Oliveira's back take, and he, grabbed his wrist, turned into him, and spun it around, got the reversal, and he almost finished Oliveira at the end of round one. So it was a truly, like, high-variance fight. But ultimately, like you pointed out, it was, Oliveira's durability advantage, you could say, that weathered that storm, got the knockout. And, I think the main event really delivered.
Yeah, you know what, man? That first round, right? Like, I think that was a real telling sign for Oliveira going forward, especially, that he didn't give up. Because in the past, he has quit in those positions. He gets in a bad spot, like Paul Felder fight, Cub Swanson, et cetera, where Max Holloway. I mean, there's a lot of fights. And a lot of people were kind of down on him for that. But like I talked about last week, like, I hadn't seen that quit in him in a long time, especially at 155, which seems like his right weight class. AJ, like you said, high variance fight, so it's not like I had a ton of confidence by any means. But at the end of the day, I did think that the improvements in the striking could get it done. I watched his last couple of fights really closely again, and man, he looked good. Marcel, give me your thoughts on this fight, man, because it was a hell of a knockout.
Yeah, it was a fun fight, man. By the way, round one, 10-8 my ass.
I don't agree with that either. I saw two judges gave 10-8. I don't think so. Go ahead.
No, me neither. I mean, actually Oliveira did what I didn't expect him to do, and that is coming back after adversity. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And that's why I went with Chandler, because I knew he was going to go in that position, and I expected him not to come back from that position. And man, when people actually kind of expected like Chandler is now going to do it in the second round, Oliveira did it, you know, and it was only like 20 seconds, less than 20 seconds. So yeah, good for him. Deserved, man. You know, I'm so happy for Oliveira. You know what I mean? I mean, he was waiting a long time to get this opportunity, and we were thinking that he was going to get passed over because he turned down a non-title fight with Michael Chandler earlier. You know, so yeah, good for him, and I think much deserved as well. So yeah, I'm very happy with the outcome. Although I picked Chandler, I'm very happy Oliveira got the win.
Yeah, you look great. Let me get these comments. Daniel, Sear. Hey, guys, I'm not going to comment lurking today. It's evening UK. Hey, man, I'm glad you're here. I had some under bets, broke even on the whole. Yeah, I had a break even night too. Added with another main event win. Thanks, man. I think I'm on a roll right now with the main events. That's why I'm worried, because I have a really strong lean for next week's, or sorry, for this Saturdays. And I'm like, but I've got like 4 in a row or something. Like one of them's going to be wrong at some point. Maybe not this week though. Maybe the one in 2 weeks. The curse of the UFC's promotion bias is real, poor Dana. I mean, I just feel like Chandler really shouldn't have even got the title shot in the first place. I understand why they gave it to him. Obviously, he promoted the fight really well. I'm not sure what to think about Michael Chandler, guys. Like, I gotta be honest. Like, I've watched him fight for a long time. I think he is a good fighter. I don't think he's an elite lightweight, though. And I think we've seen that a few times now. Because, again, I talked about this last week. AJ, in Bellator title fights, he was 6-5 overall. 22-5 in Bellator, but only 6-5 in the title fights. So to me, like, that's a telling sign that, yeah, he beats up a lot of these guys that we talked about, some of these lower level guys, but when he does step up, sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't. And I've seen him disappoint so many times in the past. That's the one benefit I'll give myself from watching the sport for so long. I'd seen him lose to Will Brooks a couple times. I remember how big of upsets those were. I remember how shocked I was at the time. So I knew that he could lose. I knew he wasn't unbeatable. I definitely think Chandler's good, but again, 35 years old, guys. You know, he's not a young guy anymore. 35 for the lightweight division is actually a little bit on the older side. Don't get me wrong. I think he can still compete with a lot of the top 10 guys. I think, you know, maybe they give him like Gaethje next or something, someone coming off a loss in the top 10. I don't know who else. Maybe even Ferguson. We'll talk about in a second here. I'm not sure they give him, but, you know, he says he's going to be the champion again. I'm not convinced, guys. I got to be honest. Like, I think he's a good fighter, but the durability is a huge question. And his cardio seemed to really it seemed like he had an adrenaline dump. I don't know what you guys think, but after that first round, it's like his first main event in the UFC, and he looked absolutely tired in the corner, and about a minute later was on his ass, getting knocked down twice by Charles Oliveira. I don't know what you thought about that, Marcel. You think he gassed out a little bit?
Yeah, that also, and also like I said, man, I picked Chandler because I thought the style of the fight would be preferable for him, you know, because I think in many guys who he can fight in the lightweight division, I wouldn't pick him, but because of the intensity he always brings early in the fight, I thought he could beat Charles. That's the only reason why I thought we would beat him, you know, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think Chandler is a good fighter, but I said it last time to you when it was with Cole. I don't see Chandler actually being a top 5 guy, but I thought the Oliveira fight was a good fight for him. But I don't see him really as a top 5 guy. I said that back then, and it's maybe weird for me to say now because I picked him to win the title, you know. But
all matchups, though. It's all matchups.
Yeah,
every matchup's different,
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's top 5 either, guys. I got to be honest with you. He beat Dan Hooker, and we didn't see anything in that fight. We just saw him punch him and knock him out. That's the thing. I was like, we didn't see him go deep. And yeah, you can say a lot about Oliveira, but we had seen Oliveira fight almost 30 times in the UFC, so we had a bit of an idea of what would happen if he did get out of that first. Lightweight's going to be even money line division as long as you retired. I agree with that. The odds came out, by the way, guys. I'll ask you this on this one, AJ. He says he likes Oliveira to beat Conor. The odds came out for Conor versus Oliveira and Dustin versus Oliveira. And Charles is actually the underdog in both those fights. Against Dustin, I understand, but I got to be honest, guys. I would love to take him at plus money if Conor wins that fight. We can see Oliveira Conor and get Oliveira plus 145. I would hammer that. I'm not gonna lie. What do you think, AJ? Any thoughts on those 2 lines? Any initial thoughts?
I'd have to firmly tape study it, but I know that. Yeah, with the line opening like there, I didn't see where it moved, but I could see, to your point, a lot of people just steaming that Oliveira line. Yeah. Recency bias is real. And even with that said, I still do think he does have the recipe to beat Conor. We know that Conor, especially when he's tired and on his back, he's definitely a liability down there. So, and Oliveira's the best submission grappler in the history of the UFC, technically, with all of his wins by submission. So, he gets on the ground, especially against a tired Conor, it could be just like a -1,000 path to victory for Charles.
I agree with that. You know what's crazy? So he has the most submissions in UFC history. He already had that 16. Now he has the most finishes at 17, which I think is one more than Anderson now. So, Marcel, Hall of Fame one day for this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely, if he keeps doing this. I mean, he has the most submission wins in UFC history, or do you not put him in the Hall of Fame? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I also want to say, like, all these, sorry, not everybody, but those idiot fans who are like, yeah, he's just a belt holder before Poirier or Conor comes. Listen, guys, Poirier chose to fight Conor. He could fight for the belt. He chose to fight Conor. He chose to fight to get for the money. That's his choice. Charles is the champion. Deal with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. All right. Let's move on to the next fight, guys. I already alluded to it. Tony Ferguson, he loses a unanimous decision once again. He's lost 11 straight rounds now, which is just nuts to me. This is a guy that a few years ago, a lot of us, including myself, thought this guy could be stylistically the guy that would beat Habib. I really did think he was going to give Habib serious problems. Fight never ended up happening. He ends up fighting Gaethje, gets just teed off on in that fight for 5 rounds. And honestly, I feel like he's aged like 20 years since that fight, which was last May, guys. So 1 year ago, it feels like he was about 36 last year. It feels like he's about 56 now. He looked just terrible in this fight. He did have that Darce series at some points in the fight, and I think maybe some lower like ranked guys at lightweight would get tapped out by that, but Beneil Dariush would. It wasn't tight enough for him to tap out, and you know you got to give Tony some credit. I mean, he really did. Man, that heel hook was nasty, and he survived through that pain once again. The armbar in the last fight, now the heel hook. But guys, 37 years old, 3 straight losses. AJ, is Tony Ferguson completely washed up at this point in his career?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys that are going to be able to beat him, not just Charles and Beneil. If he can't get up from bottom, then, you know, pretty much anybody that wants to take him down that has good jiu-jitsu concepts in top position could beat him. That's just the fight game for you. We'll get into Souza and Muniz later, but it's like, yeah, if Tony was in his prime, yeah, sure, he could beat Beneil, but he's just not. Like, that's just the reality that something that I had to learn from. I actually learned my lesson with this when Tony fought Oliveira. And I can't bet fighters that are regressing. I'm not going to do it because I'm just guessing as to how far away they are from their prime, and then they could easily get old overnight, right? So, but on the flip side, this is a great win for Beneil Dariush. This is a guy that's one of the hardest working, smartest guys in the UFC. It makes me so happy to see this guy succeed. And it was egregious that the fans were booing him. I mean, he shouldn't have had to call out Elon Musk for the fans to stop booing, as like a joke. But like, dude, I would like to see Beneil maybe fight Gaethje. And honestly, this is going to be probably a hot take. People aren't going to like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ferguson gets cut. Because, like, if the UFC is looking
it's not
at
a hot take. I think you're right. I think you're on the money. Because he has a high salary, guys, and he's not performing. So, Marcel, I was going to ask you. Actually, I was going to ask you that. You think he gets cut?
It's possible, but yeah, it kind of depends what the UFC wants, what he wants. I think Ferguson is the kind of guy who still thinks he can be the lightweight champion someday. But, man, can I also say I'm glad he grew his hair back, because in his last fight he looked like 85, man. And now he does look like Ferguson again.
He looks like he's aged 100 years overnight, guys. I'm serious. But he just doesn't look like the same guy.
He's a great fighter, man, but he really looks past his prime, man. Can't say anything. Yeah, it kind of remembers me like Tyron Woodley, man. It's like completely gone.
Yeah, and I talk about this every week, guys. I literally say this every podcast, AJ. And I'm going to say it again. Every single card, every single week, one of our heroes from the past gets old overnight, guys. And this week it was Tony, and it was Jacare. We'll talk about in a minute here, but love the guy. I think they will release him, honestly, because I think he makes a lot of money and he's not performing, and he's not really even competitive anymore. So if he's lucky, and Dana likes him, obviously, so maybe they'll give him one more shot. But even if they do, guys, and I talked about this on my Twitter today, I talked about the matchmaking, right? It's different now. They're not going to give him a layup guy out of the top 15. I think they would give him someone like Islam and be like, go fight Islam. Go see if you're still top 10. Because at this point in the UFC, it's not about any fighter anymore. It's only about the promotion. They want to find the best guy. It's sink or swim. So if Tony does stay in the UFC and he does fight someone else, it won't be an unranked guy for him to bounce back. They don't do that anymore, guys. It'll be a killer like Islam, a killer like Gillespie, someone like that that's going to probably wrestle him again. We can get these comments. Jose, what's going on, man? He says, I don't think it will happen, but I would favor Gillespie over Dariush. Thoughts. That'd be a really competitive fight, I think. I mean, Dariush obviously has great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. Gillespie looked incredible, but I don't know. Any thoughts on that? I'll start with you, AJ. Any thoughts? I mean, that's kind of a what-if fight, but it'd be a good matchup. What do you think?
I pick Gillespie often because I think the way you need to beat him is to knock him out, just because his wrestling is so relentless and everything, and his cardio is so good. But that said, Gillespie's still very flawed on the feet. So, like, I think it would, if the odds were opened, it would be closely lined, especially based on the momentum of Beneil. But I would have to look at it a little bit more. But I could see, to Jose's point, I could see Gillespie winning that fight. He's got a clear as day path to victory with those takedowns and cardio nonstop for 15 or shorter.
Quick thoughts, Marcel? Any thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, at this moment, if you say who would you pick right now, I would go with Dariush. But I mean, things can change. You know what I mean? And maybe if I'm looking further into it, maybe I change my opinion. But right now, I would say Dariush probably.
Yeah, and again, 7 straight wins. There's nothing to scoff at, right? I don't think this was his best performance. He did what he needed to do to win the fight. It was a smart performance. I don't think it was his best performance. I don't think it would get him a title shot. Didn't seem like Dana was too happy about it, to be honest with you. But, you know, he says, I'm going to take some time off, then I'll fight again at the end of the year. I think you said Gaethje. I think that would be a good fight, AJ, but the only thing is they're both Ali guys. Will he even do that? What are you going to say, Marcel?
And Dana should stop being such a pissball, man. If somebody doesn't fight how he wants it, man, it's really starting to piss me off, man. Wrestling is a part of MMA.
It's just starting to. It's been pissing off for years, bro. Come on.
Yeah, for years, man.
For years.
I mean, dude, go into fucking Zufar boxing or something if you don't like the ground game. You know what I mean?
I know.
This is MMA. It's so annoying to me.
I agree. And you know what? I'm going to keep that point because I'm going to get these comments, and then we're going to the next fight right away. So he says, I thought you looked old with the hair. And Glenn says, can't wonder if Tony went to a traditional gym with better game plans. I agree. I mean, like, I love Ben Saunders. He's a friend of mine. I love the guy. Does that really need to be your lead corner, man? I don't think that was a good idea. I think he does need to go to a big camp. Like, imagine he was an American top team or American Kickboxing Academy or one of these big camps like Sanford. Imagine he was at a traditional camp. I don't think he'll ever do it. He's just a different guy. That's not his type of thing. But, you know, going to train with Freddie Roach, guys, boxing coach for this fight, didn't make much sense to me, and it didn't help. He didn't throw his hands either. Not only is his ground game bad, but his striking is just non-existent now. It's crazy. Tony and Nick Diaz. I'd watch that fight. Who's RDA fighting next? He turned down Islam, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Islam, I believe, said that. I don't know who's going to fight. I mean, maybe – well, Dariush is his training partner. They won't fight. I don't know. Gaethje? I don't know. I'm not sure. They got to find Gaethje a fight, though. Wrestling's part of MMA. Dariush didn't perform great. Go easy on Dana in this one. I think it was honestly, guys, it was kind of a boring fight, but I would have did the same thing. I said in the podcast, I was like, this is what I said last week. I was like, if he's smart, he will wrestle. So he does the smart thing, and we're going to criticize him. That's not fair. You know what I mean? So I think it was a smart game plan, but I can see why, as the promoter, you wouldn't be happy. Now, I want to talk about the next fight because what Marcel said hit the nail on the head here with this is MMA. It's not striking. It's not kickboxing. I understand bad decisions are part of the game, guys. I get that. I really did think Araujo won the first 2 rounds of the fight because the first round clearly she won. We're going to talk about this fight, Araujo Chukagian. First round, clearly Araujo. Third round, clearly Chukagian. Second round was the question mark, right? But to me, if you get full mount for multiple minutes, you get multiple submission attempts, and yeah, you get pieced up a little bit at the end of the round. But if you control the first 4 minutes and then lose the last minute, you still won the round. So I didn't like this decision. That 30-27 scorecard was absolute shit. What a bad scorecard. But I even think 29-28 is a bad scorecard, guys. I think it was a really square play to bet Chukagian in this fight. I think Araujo was the right side. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this fight. We'll start with you, Marcel, this time. Who do you think won this fight? Again, guys, I am a little biased because I did bet on her. But at the same time, I understand the scoring. And it's not striking. It's MMA. You have to count the ground stuff, too. Marcel, how'd you score this fight?
Yeah, apparently you can win a fight with 6 minutes. I mean, I had the first round for Araujo. I can't say it was close, but I think she had the more meaningful shots, in my opinion, what she did. And she did great in the second round. Only the last minute she didn't do well, and Caitlin Chukagian did better. Third round was a clear round for Chukagian, I think. So I had 29-28 for Araujo, but I wasn't surprised, man. These judges always get swayed by Chukagian, by our hot. And
I knew that was going to be a risk too, and that's why I should have laid off on this one, guys. Yeah,
we touch her one time, but we make 10 sounds, and everybody thinks she hit her 10 times. Well, she hit her one time. So, yeah, I mean, Listen, man, good for Shukagian. That's the way she rolls. You know what I mean? But man, the judges should see that. Although I know there are many different opinions on this fight. So yeah,
AJ, what do you think?
So I scored it for Araujo. One thing, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this, but one thing I've noticed that judges have been doing is they've been giving the rounds for fighters, despite them losing at the beginning and middle, of them ending strong. And Chikagan, to her credit, she did end round 2 very strong. She came out aggressive. She actually went for it. And so that's something that was brought on my radar back. I don't know if you guys remember Caitlin Vieira versus Yana Kunitskaya. Vieira had all the control in rounds 2 and 3, but Yana was able to get on top for the last minute or 30 seconds or so and just beat her up with ground and pound. And so they scored that fight for Yana. So I always note it in tape study. One of the things that I've factored in my handicapping is fight IQ. I think the fight IQ on a fighter is high if they have the urgency at the end of the round to finish that round strong, go for that takedown, go after their opponent, be aggressive. And so I can understand from one perspective, but I do agree that Araujo probably should have gotten her hand raised because she had the mount. She landed the ground and pound. And I was looking at the stats too. So the stats favored her.
It's not like she was just falling on the ground. She had full mount. That is so many points in my mind. Go ahead, Marcel.
There is no consistency in that as well. You saw Ludovic Klein last week against Trezano, who went for that takedown in those 2 rounds, and he had control for 1 minute, and he didn't get the round. So there is no consistency at all with the judging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we knew that it would be a risk in Texas. We all knew that. I should have laid off this one. It is what it is. I really thought that the judge would be smarter than the grunting, but they couldn't get past the grunting, guys. All right, let's get these comments. Kenshiro, what's going on, man? Oliveira glitched Chandler around. She ran off with the belt literally. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I love when he jumped in the crowd. I love when that happens. With the judging and skill issues, best not to hold events in Texas in the future. They'll go back. I mean, there's too much money. I think Dane even said we're probably going to go back before the end of the year to Texas and to Florida. And now, obviously, they're going to Arizona next month. The second round was close. Have to watch again. I really thought Arizona won good because I think that full mount submission attempt for full mount, she had that guillotine for full. That's points. That's controlling. That's dominance. So to me, I'm with you, AJ. These judges have really short memories, but you would hope they're better than that. Rob Brown, what's going on, Rob? Thanks for the content, fellas. Hey, man, glad for you to be here, man. Glad you're getting something out of it. I know you're a really good bet yourself. Chikagian Kenshiro says Chikagian clearly won. I'm not sure about that, but you talk about Antonina. Man, we'll talk about her in a minute. My God, she's bad. She's terrible, guys. Talk about someone that's got to get cut. You're going to cut Tony Ferguson. You got to cut Antonina, too. Let's be honest. This girl cannot wrestle. I thought it was so bad. It was terrible. Aruja looked gassed. Yeah, I agree she did. But again, I still think if you win 1 minute, so if you win 20% of a round, you shouldn't win the round. You should be the person that went 80% of the round. You guys think Justin's TD's overrated? Is Khabib that good? Khabib's that good. That's what it is. And Justin, I can't remember right now, but I think he won the first round with the low kicks and stuff in that fight. It was a competitive first round. All right, next fight. Oh, sorry. Actually, I think I did the other order, but look, I don't even want to talk about this fight because this fight was so fucking boring. Why was this on the main card? Why was Max Schnell and Jerry Bonjour on the main card? Someone tell me why they put this on the main card. This fight sucked. Guys, I was trying not to fall asleep during this fight. I was like, okay, go get a drink, get some water. Come on, this fight it stunk. I think we all got her pick wrong too. Only Nick was the only guy in oddsmaker that had Bontarine, so good for him. AJ, brief thoughts, 10 seconds on this fight because it stunk.
Oh, I was way off here. I thought Chanel would box him up on the feet, and it was Bontarine that was boxing him up. Got the takedown. Yeah, fairly uneventful fight compared to the rest of the card, but I agree with Bontarine getting his hand raised.
Any thoughts, Marcel?
This fight took place at 5:45 a.m. in the morning over here, and I didn't score this fight for MMA decision, so you know exactly what happened.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, I barely saw something. I only saw
I'll be honest, I didn't even care about this fight at all. I didn't care. I was watching it. I'm like, I don't even care who the judges gave this one to. It's one of those fights. I didn't have any action on either, AJ. And from a DFS point of view, I just kind of faded it in general when I could. It was a good fight to fade, obviously. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, so he beat up a guy at another weight class and he still missed weight. That was the other thing. He missed weight too. Should Schnell have even taken the fight? Maybe he shouldn't. Maybe it was a mistake to take the fight. You know what I mean? Let me get these comments. Aruja was gassed. I lost. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about Priscilla after. Pasha Krakachev. Don't know him. Schnell was from Houston. That's the only logical reason. I thought he was from Louisiana, but I guess maybe he is. Schnell won. I don't know the judges. I think you're probably on an island there, Kenshiro. I think it was close, but Bontarine seemed like he did more damage and deserved it. He went to make a coffee before the round began. Knew it would be a snoozer. It was just I just didn't understand why he was on the main card. Anyways, opening up the main card, though. We got to talk about this fight because this was fight of the night. And we called. I called this one too. Said it was fight of the night. I did call this last week, Marcel. I think you called it too, Marcel. We both said we fight of the night. I mean, Edson Barboza to me, guys, is just like to me, he's a legend. I love watching him fight. And AJ, way too technical, just way too technical. And Burgos once again relying on his chin to block punches. And we get 2 rounds of just back and forth striking. Barboza just really chopping him up with the legs. And then the last round gets knocked out with a really funny punch to the head. But, you know, people are saying, I've never seen that happen. I've seen that happen. Michael Chandler, happened to Michael Chandler, Will Brooks. Come on, guys. What does everyone have such short memories for? He got clipped in the temple and went to call timeout. John McDessie and Donald Cerrone, same thing. These guys' brains get scrambled. He broke his jaw in that fight. Go ahead. AJ.
And Oliveira and Swanson, same type.
That's
of deal.
another one. I was at that fight in Toronto, and I remember I had Cub Swanson plus 200 that night. I remember that really well. I was like, yes. But he got dropped and like reacted, and everyone's talking shit about him. Guys, sometimes you get hit in the right spot, your brain just turns off. A lot of fans don't realize what happens in the cage, man. Like, you get punched in the head for a living. This will happen. The accumulation of damage in this fight, and the last one with Josh Emmett, where he got dropped twice, finally caught to Shane Burgos. Ken Schullo says, I thought he had a stroke and died. I didn't think that would happen. I just thought his brain turned off because it's a fight or flight response from your body, guys. His body said, that's it, you're done, and shut off completely. I love Shane Burgos, guys. I think this could be a career-changing fight for him. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 guy going forward because he took way too much damage in this fight. And for Barboza, another amazing win. We'll start with you, AJ. Give me your thoughts on this fight, man. Fight of the night, great fight for as long as it lasted.
Oh, dude, it was awesome, and I love to see that Edson still has enough left in the tank. He was the one guy out of the 3 guys that I had worries about them aging that I felt like he had enough left in the tank just based on how he's performed recently. And Shane, like, I was so conflicted with my prediction here. I ended up picking Shane because he's the prototype of the guy that brings the pace, the pressure, that gives Barboza like troubles and gets him to slow down as the fight goes on. But like, man, like you pointed out, dude, Shane is just so willing to take damage, and it's just like, you know, I was nervous for him off the Emmett fight. Like, yeah, he survived there, but he just took a beating. So, but as far as the fight goes, it was awesome. You know, delayed reaction with the knockout, but you know, from start to finish, it was incredible.
Marcel, give me your thoughts on this fight and the knockout.
Yeah, man, I kind of disagree with you guys with the delay. You know what you bring up Swanson against Oliveira, but this was like even longer, man. It was like 3 seconds longer. You know, it was crazy to me. I haven't seen it in this way. I have seen delayed knockouts, but this was kind of extreme to me. You know, and yeah, I mean, it was a great fight overall. You know, you saw Edson Barboza super technical. We all know that. And Shane Burgos always comes forward. There's also his catchphrase, go forward, keep going forward. I mean, it was a great fight, man, but he took a lot of damage in that fight. And, you know, I don't know. I briefly talked to him after the fight. He was like, my scans are all okay. So everything was good. And, yeah, we're going to see what's happening. I mean, for Barboza, this is man. What Barboza against Giga Chikadze? How crazy would that be? You know what I mean? Two crazy stand-up fighters against each other again. And for Burgos, yeah, we got to see what's next for him. So yeah, it was a great fight of the night, well deserved. And I think most people called this fight of the night, man. I mean, we called it both, but I think many people knew this was going to be fight of the night.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not like that wasn't really a bold prediction. Let's be honest. It's not like I'm calling Oliveira a knockout Chandler. That's a bold prediction. This one was like, this fight is going to be fucking amazing, and it was. And I'm watching this fight with my fiance, and I'm just like, babe, this is why I fucking love this sport, because the fights like this, I love this sport. She loves it too. By the way, her picks were amazing. She did better than anyone at MMA odds breaker. She got 8 right. Unlike the rest of us, the most was Brian at 7. So her picks have been money this week. I started listening to her, man. She's been money lately. I bet the under for Barboza Burgos. Yeah, you know, I was surprised, AJ, how many people were really like confident in Burgos considering how much damage he takes in his fights. Shane Burgos, no head movement. I agree. He trained. Yeah, you know what? Him and Calvin Kattar, 2 guys that took way too much damage, and that would be a good fight too, to be honest, just to kind of see who still has something left. Jiga said that he has a fight lined up. He's already accepted the fight or something, so I'm guessing it's going to be Yair or someone like that, like Zabit, someone like that, because I can't imagine Barboza can make a quick turnaround. I mean, this was a war. He cut his shin open too, by the way, with those low kicks. That was brutal, eh? Like, what a fight, man. This guy's bleeding all over. And by the way, I've seen fights get stopped because guys have cuts in their legs before. I have seen doctors stop the fight. So I was like, please don't stop this shit because he still wants to fight. All right, let's go to the prelims here. We got half an hour left, so we'll go through the prelims a little quicker. But we got to talk about this fight for a sec because this was another money call by your man, Adam Martin here. Andre Muniz, baby. Let's go, baby. Come on. That's where I won plus 115. Woo! Upside play, AJ. Once again, bet against the 40-year-old fighters, AJ. Have I talked you into this, AJ? Do you understand my system now? Go ahead.
No, I do. And here's the thing is, well, unlike the last fight, that was a prediction that, a lot of people were on. But this one, you were on an island here, and you've been on a lot of islands this year, and it paid off for you. So I also got to give a shout out to Real Chris Olsen, who I did the RotoWire pod. He had the hottest take ever. He said Muniz by submission. I was just like, yeah, I could see Muniz winning, but like by submission, I'm like, man, I'm not doubting your pick or anything, but like that would just be crazy. And then let alone he goes out there and he snaps Souza's arm. I saw Souza posted a video. He's expected to have surgery, so good to see he's in good spirits and everything. But like, man, dude, Muniz actually looked like good even prior to that. He landed a couple takedowns. He wasn't afraid to go to the ground with Souza, and like everybody was like talking about, like it seemed kind of foolish to some, at least for some of the people that I was watching the event with. They're like, how could this guy say he's a better grappler than Jacare Souza? And then he goes out there and he proves it. So I know you're a big stats guy, the age, the reach, just like these guys. Like, yeah, sure, if match these guys up in their prime, the result could be different, of course, but that's not what we were working with here. So it's definitely a good thing to look into those wide age discrepancies.
Absolutely. I told you 10 plus years. And 40-year-old guy. AJ, I bet against every 40-year-old. Mary Renault, Alexei Oleinik, Andre Arlovsky. Okay, I did pick him against Chase Sherman. That's because it was again, it's matchup dependent. I had Muniz all day, faded Jacare. Yeah. Marcel, we talked about last week. I said how fucking crazy it would be if he submitted him. I didn't think that was gonna happen. I thought maybe he'd out-wrestle him. Actually, AJ, I think he was out-wrestling him. He did have a couple takedowns. It looked like he was a lot bigger, by the way. That guy's huge for that division. But Marcel, you even said, how crazy would that be if he submitted him? He goes out and does it. He basically did what Anthony Hernandez did to Rodolfo Vieira a few months ago. Marcel, you know what? I'll say, I was watching the weigh-in show, pre-weigh-in show on Friday, and Daniel Cormier was asked, what do you think about Muniz? Do you think he'd be top 15? And Cormier goes, Andre Muniz, that guy will never be top 15. I'm like, man, this guy's so ignorant. He gets paid so well to cover the sport. He's a commentator, gets to sit cage-side, and didn't watch the tape on Muniz. Because Muniz is really good. Marcel, who should he fight next?
Yeah, DC is also not a commentator. He's just there because the UFC likes him. Who do I want to see Muniz fight? Somebody obviously in the top 15, man. And by the way, we both called Muniz to win this fight.
I think AJ did too. If I'm not mistaken, AJ, you did pick Muniz. Yeah.
We were all three.
Actually, I would say the majority of guys at the website were on Muniz. So I will give our staff credit because I think a lot of us do realize you have to bet against older fighters. But I'm looking at the rankings, Marcel. So he's not ranked right now, but I'm looking at the top. Honestly, maybe Akhmedov Tavares, the winner of that fight.
I exactly wanted to say that. Give him that one. But also, what about Jacare, man? He didn't even tap. The referee stopped the fight
he's so tough.
He broke the arm. So
I had broken my arm too. I broke it training boxing 7-8 years ago. So I have had a broken arm too, and it's brutal. My arm's never been the same. I don't think his will ever be the same either. You know what I mean? You just don't have the same range of movement and stuff. He's getting surgery on it. I didn't have surgery. I just had my mended, healing over time. So he's a professional athlete. But here's the thing. I was 23 when I broke my arm. He's 20. He's 41, guys. So, to me, AJ, a 41-year-old guy breaking it's like Anderson Silva when he broke his leg against Chris Weidman. Never the same after that. Obviously, a leg's a little different than an arm, but I still feel like that's his right hand. He's relying on his right hand, guys, and he broke it. So I still feel like, maybe he gets one more fight. But I got to be honest, I think they might let him go too, guys. I think this might be the end of Jacare's UFC career. Let's get these comments. Ken Shiro, Andre Muniz is big. He looks huge. How does this guy make 185? He's a monster. Forgot to bet Muniz by submission. Don't worry about that, man. As long as you got the money line, it was a good bet. Andre Muniz came with the mission. He's going to end Souza's career. That is a great comment, and it's true. I'm totally over the idea if you're weak, your tap, especially with the UFC loves to show replays and repeat. I'm with you too. I hate guys that don't want to tap, that refuse to tap. Obviously, in his case, he's never been submitted. He's a very proud jiu-jitsu guy. I get it. But especially with guillotine chokes, when the guy's going to go out, they just don't tap. That's stupid. Just tap out. You guys, you lost. Daniel Cormier is one of the most emotionally biased. I really like DC. I've met him before. He's a really nice guy. Obviously, he's a great champion. I don't think he's a great commentator, guys. I got to be honest. I think Paul Felder's way better. I think Michael Bisping's better. I don't know. I think he's very biased when he calls the fights. Let's go to the next fight here, guys. was this the fight? 1 second. Again, we'll go through the prelims a little bit quicker, but we got this one here. Landon Venata and Mike Grundy, because this to me was a very close fight. And I want to hear you guys score this fight because my tweet went on TV and I said, man, this fight's hard to score. I honestly have no idea what the judges are going to say. I had a few people say, dude, I saw your tweet. That's awesome. But I had so many people come after me, AJ, and be like, what are you talking about? This fight's so easy to score. Landon Venata is easily winning the fight every round. Then we get the split decision, 30-27 the other way. I think this fight was super hard to score, but I do think 30-27 Grundy's wrong because obviously Venata won the third round. But the first 2 rounds were close. They were super close. I had a 29-28 for Venata. What did you guys have? AJ, what did you have?
Hey, whether you're right or wrong on these sorts of things, we all know you're a sharp guy, Adam, so I wouldn't sweat those too much. But as far as the prediction goes, I got
this one wrong, by the way. I did bet on Grundy and I lost. Fair and square. I thought Venata won. Go ahead, though, AJ, please.
Yeah, no worries. It happens to all of us. But I scored rounds 2 and 3 for Venata. I think you could score round 1 for Grundy for sure because he landed the takedowns. And even though Venata outstruck him on the numbers by 12, I think that the takedowns and the control just optically was a little better look for Grundy. But it was a good fight. I mean, Lando's just one of these inconsistent guys. When he's on and he's focused, he looks pretty good. Like even the Medeiros fight, he looked pretty solid there. But then there's other times where he just looks totally flat and gasses. It just seems more concerned about getting performance bonus than a win. But this was one of these nights where he was focused. He wanted the win, and he got it. The move down in weight helped him. I wondered if it was going to make him a little bit more motivated. It appears it did. And I mean, this guy, they're both really talented. I don't want to see the UFC let Grundy go. I don't think they would have 2 losses, but he's a relentless wrestler. He doesn't fight with a massive ego. So I respect that about Grundy.
How did you score it, Marcel?
First round for Grundy, second and third round for Venata. And
I said the same scorecard then.
Yeah, I said 29-28 for Venata, but the commentary is awful. I said, I got people like, how can you score the first round for Grundy? It's clear 30-27. The commentary isn't awful. I was like, guys, yeah, if you listen to the commentary, it would probably be 30-25 for Venata. Yeah, true. But
I was watching with my fiance, and I'm like, Abe, they're literally not talking about any of these huge punches that Grundy's landing that knocked him and had his head back like this. Like he landed the harder shots, but at the end of the day, too many stuffed takedowns is a bad look. And obviously Venata did have more numbers. So I think it was a good call that he won. But I think all 3 of the scorecards were honestly not good scorecards because they were all different. What we just said, guys, like Chris Lee had a different scorecard than us. And then the other 2 judges had different scorecards. So to me, it was a close fight, but you can't go into that fight saying it was like a clear Venata win because to me it was super close. I had Venata coming back better and stronger. He looked good. I mean, he looked good at 145 too. At the weigh-ins, AJ, I swear when I was looking at it, I'm like, man, he looks good. Back off Grundy a little bit. I put a little bit more shares of Venata into my DraftKings, but I still had Grundy as a play. Clearly lost. No problem with that one. It's a fair and square loss. I feel worse about the Araujo one where I actually think she should have won that fight. Let's go to the next fight here, Jordan Wright and Jamie Pickett. I did pick Jordan Wright here, guys, but I had no confidence in either of these men. No offense to either of these fighters, but they just don't exude a lot of confidence in my opinion. But Jordan Wright gets the knockout here. 1 minute and 4 seconds, AJ. I was hoping that Kerry Hatley was going to stop it because I had Jordan Wright in all my DraftKings, a lot of my DraftKings teams, and I was like, give me that 25-point bonus for the first minute finish, but ends up getting out there at 104. Give me your thoughts on Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. You had a great performance here.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least he still put up a big score for you regardless, a quick win or not. But, this was a fight I just knew right away. Yeah, I knew right away I was going to have no action on this fight. Just it is what it is. I picked Pickett because I just favored his durability and his competition a bit more, but they're both so flawed defensively in terms of the stand-up. We didn't really get to see that. It was kind of weird. Wright hit him with those Travis Brown style elbows, and we've seen time and time again, those are just a nasty weapon. You could just lose your equilibrium. I remember when Glover Teixeira was trying to shoot a takedown on Carl Roberson, buckled his legs and almost knocked him out. So if you're able to land those elbows on the perfect angle, you could finish the job. And, Wright, that was the beginning of the end for Pickett. So kudos to the Beverly Hills Ninja.
Give me your thoughts, Marcel, on this fight.
Yeah, man, good performance from Jordan Wright, and super cool to see Matyushenko and Hardong in his corner as well, two UFC vets. I mean, yeah, he did well, and I'm not really impressed with Pickett, like I said last week. Wright got that knockout power in him, and definitely early in the fight. So he did what he had to do. Very good win for him, man, and. Yeah, I'm looking for what's next for him. I think he did really well after getting knocked out by Anthony Hernandez in the Contender Series. He looked good since. He lost to Buckley, I know, but since then he also won against Gabriel Checo in LFA, which was a good win for him. And he's now 2-1 with UFC. So yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah, I think he looked pretty good, but Pickett I expect to get released actually after this one, guys, because he lost both fights and hasn't looked very good. I felt embarrassed for Pickett. He probably thought it was not possible to lose to Beverly Hills Ninja. Yeah, I think people just kind of wrote off Jordan Wright a little bit too soon, I think, because he had the bad losses, but he's a young guy, right? Guys, AJ, I talk about this all the time. Young guys get better. They have upside. Jamie Pickett's a little bit older. Next fight here, guys, I was completely off on this one. I thought it'd be just a close fight. I thought Lee and Shevchenko would be super close. It wasn't close. Andrea Lee absolutely dominated this fight from bell to bell. She looked phenomenal, and Shevchenko tapped out. I was surprised she got the finish at the end of the second round. Sorry, D. Marcel. I can't remember who you picked in this one. I think you did pick Lee, actually.
100%.
Yeah. So, well, did you think she would finish the fight like this, or did you think it would be more of like a decision?
I think I called it a decision, man. But I told you, man, if she gets her down, she won't stand up. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Lee is just much better on the ground than Antonina, and Antonina had her in that nasty Muay Thai clinch, you know. But that's the only thing she had going in that fight. Lee took her to the ground, and absolutely, I was like worried, man. It took so long for her to get that submission. I was like, her legs will be sore if she has to do the third round. And then out of nowhere, she grabbed the triangle armbar, which was a great finish for her, man, and a much needed as well. I think she lost 3 in a row before, so 2 split decisions. So yeah, much needed win for Andrea Lee. Good win.
I think you got that one right too, AJ, if I'm not mistaken. Who'd you pick in that one, AJ? Yeah. So did you see it playing out like that, where she would get the sub?
I didn't think she'd get the sub, but I did acknowledge that Andrea was the better scrambler. I did think that she was the side. You know, one thing that I noticed that the MMA community does is they just constantly underrate fighters on losing streaks. Like, they act as if, like, oh, you're on a losing streak, therefore you can't win your next fight. It's one thing if fighters on a losing streak and they're looking terrible in every single moment of those fights. But Andrea, to her credit, has gone to 2 split decisions in there. I think she should have beat Roxanne Modafferi. That was the concern heading into this matchup. But it's not as if she's not being competitive. But yeah, like, to Marcel's point, if there was a fighter that was going to have more success with the top control, it was Andrea. We saw that. I thought that she was going to have some moderate success standing as well. Antonina's more technical than her, but Andrea's good technically as well. She's got good volume. And I think we just saw the better fighter win here. So I want to see Andrea Lee. I'm glad that they gave her another chance because she's super talented. She's just kind of underperformed. I think she's got upside. She's young. She's now training with like Tisha Torres, I think in like Colorado and whatnot. So she's got upside. She's well-rounded. Takedown defense is always going to be a concern as is her hit ability. But yeah, she's super talented. Yeah.
Yep. She looked great in this fight, no doubt. Best performance in the UFC. I watched Porteva Shevchenko last week. Could pick her. Yeah, I mean, that was a bad pick by me. Our whole channel lost money on Anthony, who got dominated in the clinch. Her Muay Thai plum looked amazing, by the way. It looked like Anderson Silva when she's laying those knees. But after that, taken down and just like Kenshiro says, we never seen her really fight like that. I loved seeing her fight like this. I would like to see her do more grappling. You know, what are you gonna say, Marcel? Go ahead.
Also, big concern what I see online with people is like, oh, Antonina trains with Valentina, so she's probably gonna get better, or she's probably not as good as Valentina, but she may become close. It's like those are 2 completely different fighters, in my opinion. You know what I mean? If it comes to a complete game, and yeah, listen, Valentina's just world class, and Antonina, she's not a bad fighter at all, but she lacks the ground game, you know, and a lot actually. In my opinion, I know she has submission wins on her record, but still, I don't think she has a good ground game at all. And man, this was a good fight for Andrea Lee. So yeah, I wasn't surprised.
I agree. Let's get this comment. Dojo, I bet Shevchenko beat Lipsky because Lipsky's awful. She's not great. The fact that she got dominated by Anthony in the ground is very telling. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so let's go to the prelims here, the early prelims, and first 3 fights of the night. This fight, I gotta get your guys' thoughts on the stand-up by Mike Beltran. I didn't agree with it, guys. I think it changed the fight completely. I'm not saying she was like doing a ton of damage, but it seemed like she was working. But once they stood her up, Gina Mazzani literally was so – I've never seen a fighter that gassed out, actually. Like, she was absolutely gassed out from being in top. It made no sense to me, guys, and showed no heart once again and showed no durability. She has no chin, really. Got just destroyed by Cachoeira in the last, 10 seconds of the fight. But, you know, AJ, she still did really good in DraftKings, which is crazy. Even though she lost, she still got 54 points in a second-round loss, which shows you how dominant she was with the wrestling. But at the end of the day, AJ, somehow a James Krause-trained fighter gassed out and showed no heart and basically, just got stopped with a standing TKO. Give me your thoughts on this one, AJ. I gotta be honest, I'm not surprised Catchworth won. I knew it'd be a close fight, but the way the fight played out with the stand-up, give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it just goes to show, one like small thing at a glance could really impact the whole fight. It may seem like harmless for the referee to stand her up, at least at the time it happened, but we saw how that changed the fight. And I gotta say, man, I think honestly it was an adrenaline dump because I'm looking at Mazzani's stats from the previous fight. She landed 106 strikes, she landed 7 takedowns and 12 attempts. So like I think it was more of just like an adrenaline dump, a discouragement maybe. Because she's clearly shown, that she could fight at a high pace, and Krause fighters are always in good shape, always coming with good game plans. But it's just really unfortunate for her and her team, honestly. So, but on the flip side, kudos to Cachoeira. That's 2 knockouts in a row. I know that some people hit that KO prop. That's not my style, but happy for all those that took the chance.
Yeah, AJ or Marcel, any thoughts on this fight? The stand-up from Mike Beltran. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I love Mike Beltran, but that was a bad stand-up in my opinion. I said it on Twitter, and people coming at me like, "Oh man, you had probably got money on Mazzani." I was like, "No, I picked Cachoeira to win that fight via knockout." So I was like, my pick was correct, but I don't feel like I had a correct pick for the simple reason that I think Mazzani was controlling the fight. Listen, man, if it goes to a third round, we don't know what happens. She can still get finished. You know what I mean? But the second round, I was like, Cachoeira has to keep the standing to get the win. And the first thing she did was like a lazy punch where Mazzani ducked under and she took her down. And she couldn't stand up anymore. So, I think Beltran heavily influenced the outcome of the fight, man. I mean, Mazzani was not in trouble at all. She was gassed. She was gassed in my opinion, but she wasn't in trouble in top control, and the minute he took her off, it was over, man. Cachoeira was landing hard punches. Not a good look in my opinion for Beltran in this one, but hey man, he can have a mistake one time. I mean, if Toyoni can make 10 mistakes in one event, Mike Beltran can get 1 mistake in a year. So okay, it happens.
Yep. Kenshiro, plus 250 in Cachoeira, easy dog money. You had no choice to bet the value. I agree with his dog or pass. I passed. I was asleep, so cashed the under. I talked about that a little bit. The plus 200 odds on the under with 2 low-level fighters, AJ. That's something that's another angle you can take in these kind of fights. Yeah, it's a women's fight, but 2 kind of low-level women that can be finished. That wasn't a bad play. Go ahead.
She was the biggest favorite on the card. How does that even make sense?
Yeah, that's really weird. Like it's just that was the kind of card it was. The matchmaking was very, very tight. 2 more fights left to talk about. Tucker Lutz defeats Kevin Aguilar. What a fight. Great fight. Lutz, I thought, won the first 2 rounds. Third round, man. Kevin Aguilar, I was scared because I had Lutz as a play. I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, run, Tucker. I was screaming at him, run. I'm just like, run. Get your decision, man. Like, Kevin Aguilar was going after him, man. He wanted to knock him out. He was at home fighting in front of his crowd. And I think that's going to be it for Kevin Aguilar. And UFC's lost 4 straight fights now, right? But he went for it. But, yeah, Tucker Lutz, guys. I was on Lock of the Night show last week, and they were like, Adam, give me your lock of the night. I'm like, guys, I fucking hate that word. That's what I thought. I'm shivering listening to that word. And I'm like, fine. I'm like, you want me to put a gun to my head and tell you what's going to cash for sure? It's going to be the under in the main event. That's what I said. But he's like, come on, man. I already gave that out. And I'm like, all right, fine. Lutz will be my play of the week. And thankfully he did win. But I like this kid, man. What do you think, AJ? I think he's got a high pace, good wrestling, pretty good cardio. What do you think?
Yeah, he's fairly well-rounded, and I guess hot take, I actually scored every round for Lutz. I think we had a bit of a bias in our heads maybe watching it live because Aguilar made round 3 a lot more interesting than the previous 2. Lutz definitely won rounds 1 and 2 clear, and so by Aguilar just making it closer made it seem like maybe he won, and I still think the argument's there, but I think he pretty much just took control. I think he coasted a little bit in round 3 because he knew he was up, to your point, but dude, and honestly, let's talk about the takedowns. Into this fight, Aguilar had 87% takedown defense, and Tucker took him down 3 times on 4 attempts and kept him there a decent bit. I'm seeing 3 minutes of control. So, good bet on your end. He looked good. I don't know what his ceiling is. I'd like to see him test a little bit more, but it's nice to see that he had his UFC debut out of the way.
And I'll tell you that right now. I think you brought up a great point because I think in this sport, you can't blindly look at the stats. And I looked at that last week, and I'm like, 87%. He must have really good takedown defense. I ran and watched the fight back with Dan Ige. Dan Ige took him down a couple times, and the way he took him down, I was like, Tucker Lutz could do the same thing. So that's kind of why I like Tucker here. Fight played out actually very similar to what I thought. Let's get these comments. Zany been a dog, me finish my strikes twice. Logic made Cachoeira the right bet for sure. We were on meltdown mode. It happens, Kenshiro. Trust me. We've all had bad nights. It happens. Yeah, exactly. You gonna say something, Marcel?
I haven't thought about this fight yet, so I don't know.
Oh, I apologize. I thought I asked you. Give me your thoughts on this one. I apologize, man.
I think it was a clear 30-27 win for Aguilar. If I was a Houston judge, it was 30-27 for Lutz, obviously. Yeah, good fight from him, man. You had a good read on it. I pick Aguilar.
One of my few good reads on this card, guys.
Yeah, still,
it's a tough card, man.
If you combine our picks, we still go with the positive. So
if you combine all three of ours, I still don't even think we would have got 12-0 on this card.
Exactly. So yeah, it was a good fight from Lutz, man. Good UFC debut, very solid, good showing. And yeah, I think Aguilar is done in the UFC. Too bad for him. He worked so hard to get in the UFC, but I think he's done, man.
I agree. And then last fight, opening card fight, Cristo Giagos wins a bonus. I got to be honest, I don't mind him getting the bonus. I would have given it to Muniz because I think that submitting Jacare is such a big deal. So I would have given it to Muniz. Like, to me, that's like a legendary submission, guys. Like, he broke Jacare's arm and submitted him. First guy to ever do that. That, to me, is $75,000 bonus. But Giagos looked amazing, too. So I don't blame them for giving it to him. First round, man, as someone who had a ton of – I didn't bet on Giagos. I know you did, AJ. AJ, were you shitting your pants a little bit when he's getting rocked by those punches and his legs started stumbling a little bit? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I was perplexed why he didn't have more urgency to wrestle. Maybe he was trying to manage his cardio, but I don't trust Soriano's cardio either from the eye test, and he was taking on short notice. But finally, he had urgency in the second round. He rejuvenated himself, got his wits together, and then got the takedown, and then got the submission. I know a lot of people cast that plus 600 submission prop or whatever. My only hesitation was Giagos hasn't won by sub since 2015. I noticed on tape he's position over submission. Usually he couldn't submit a minus, but I'm happy to see that if you were on that prop, you cashed it. Yeah, it was a big 4-unit play for me. I gave that out as one of my tip plays. And it was, again, you get some of these bets where it's a little hairy, but again, it's nice to see that the judges were out of the equation. He got a dominant win in round 2. And yeah, he's a pretty underrated guy. I have concerns about his cardio in general, but he's a well-rounded dude who's only really lost to like Gilbert Burns and Drakkar Klose and Charles Oliveira, the champ. So yeah, he's underrated.
Give me your thoughts, Marcel, on the opening card fight. Do you think he should have got the bonus, or would you have given it to Muniz?
Yeah, obviously I give it to Muniz, man. It's like what would you have done if Hernandez didn't get the bonus against Vieira? Would have been crazy, right? It's kind of the same thing to me. So, and even worse, this one not getting the bonus. But yeah, not much more to say. Good comeback for Giagos after first round. Yeah, solid Dars, and he did what he had to do, but first round didn't look great, but yeah, good win.
And he called out Donald Cerrone after the fight. I mean, we'll see. I don't think they'd give him Cerrone, but they might, because at this point, it's like Donald's not going to get a layup fight, I don't think. I feel like they could do this fight, build up Giagos' name a little bit. Seems like, he's a pretty marketable guy. So, I mean, I think he looked good in this fight, except for, like you said, AJ, I'm watching. I'm like, why is this guy not wrestling? Why is he standing and banging with Soriano? Please don't do this. And then, of course, he gets the takedown. Get these comments. Daniel says, I put Aguilar in the same faded that category. Ferguson, Souza have to fade him. I agree. And show's talking about how as parlays haven't been winning. Just do straight bets, man. I mean, that's – I look at my stats, AJ. The straight bets are the thing that's going like this. The parlays like this, straight bets like this for me. Props, I don't do good in props, man. I think it's hard enough to pick fights like the winner that I don't even want to touch those things. But straight bets for me are like this year. But the other stuff's like this, AJ. So I know you're the exact same way as me. You like the straight bets too. We got about 5 minutes left here, guys. Was there any other event on the weekend? I must be forgetting something, right? Was there another event? Was there anything? I forgot. Let me double check here.
I mean, your boy Aryan Bulo.
Yeah. We got to talk about that a little quickly. One championship. Arjun Buller beats Brandon Vera, and my boy Gary Mangat beats. I can't remember who he beat, but yeah, he won to fight the Canadian guys. So that's cool. That was it, though. Really, there was an LFA card too. I didn't see the card. Did you guys watch that one? I don't know. I didn't see it. Maybe double check what the results were. Oh, Kirk retired Daniel Swain in the first round. Yeah, I think that Swain guy, he fought on Laramie on Contender Series, probably the end of his career. Yeah, I do the opening odds for LFA, but I gotta be honest, like AJ, I'm looking at the fight sometimes and like the fighters are 0-0. I'm like, how do the odds makers even set lines for these fights? Like, are they just guessing? Like, how do you set a line with a 0-0 fighter that has no tape? I mean, that just seems really odd to me. And then you see one as a big favorite. It's like, what do they know that we don't know? You know what I mean? But Anyways, yeah. So 262. Let's just wrap it up, guys. Any last thoughts on this card before we get into obviously next week's card, which is UFC Font Garbrandt? I'll start with you, Marcel. Any last thoughts on UFC 262?
No, nothing.
You, AJ, anything?
Nice to see a new champ. I think the winner of McGregor and Poirier is going to face Oliveira next.
Yep. Gabe Killian, Eddie Shot, your boy's fighting. I can't wait for this fight. I'm not going to talk about it right now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I actually have to do the tape study for that fight tonight. Did tape study for half the card already, and I have a few strong leans. I feel like I have a better read on this card this weekend than last week's card, which was hard. This card does have a lot of pick-em fights, but there's also a few fights with some big favorites like your boy, Damir Ismagulov. Both of your guys. You guys both love him, Damir. And you got some other big favorites like Ben Rothel's a big favorite in his fight. I don't know. By the way, guys, I don't know if this Godinez fight's happening. I heard there's some visa issues, so I think that fight might not happen. So don't even bother doing it. I did the tape study for it last night like a dumbass. I actually liked Alper in that fight. I got to be honest with you because she was 2 weight classes bigger, so I think that she had a good chance to grind her out. Alves plus 420. I got to be honest. I did the tape study, and that guy looks pretty good to me, man. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't know if I can pick him, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't want to give out any hints, but actually I do think Alves is better than people think. Props are hard to gamblers. I agree. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to talk about we have 2 minutes left? AJ, is there anything else that's been grinding your gears? Any news or anything you want to talk about quickly? Any like tips or any thoughts or anything?
I mean, no, not really. I've been looking at the Bellator card. We got that on Friday, and then we got UFC. So,
and you'll be on with me on Thursday to break down that card, I believe, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we got to cut back to the Bellator grind. Looking forward to that. And then, this is what I noticed was we have a UFC card this week, but we don't have one. We have a bye week the next week, so we got a little bit of a break in there. So
yeah, it's the first time in like 2 months that we've had a week off. And as someone who does this like every week and spends a lot of time doing this, it's nice to get a week off. Although I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I have so much momentum right now, AJ. I don't want to stop. You know what I mean? But we do need a week off. We're all humans, so it's nice to get a week off. Marcel, anything else you want to talk about quickly? We have 2 minutes left. Was there anything, any news or anything that happened or any fight announcement or anything like that?
Nothing on my mind, man.
All right, cool. I think that's it for today then, guys. Let's do it. Once again, appreciate everyone joining the chat. Thanks, guys. Love all you guys. Love doing the show. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We do the free podcast Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday here at MMAOddsbreaker.com, 4 p.m. Eastern. Monday, Tuesday, me and Marcel, and then Thursday with me and AJ. Appreciate everyone's listening. Trying to grow the numbers. I mean, listen, I understand there's a lot of podcasts out there, guys, but I do think we have one of the best podcasts out there. I do think that me, AJ, and Marcel are very sharp. I think Marcel is one of the best guys in the business. I think AJ is one of the best up-and-comers in the business. And I've been doing this a long time. So I feel like, if you guys are listening to this podcast, you're probably learning something about the sport. And that's, at the end of the day, what I love. People learning about the sport, hopefully profiting from some of our advice. AJ, plug yourself. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, Twitter right there, AJ Schullo, contribute to Daily Fan MMA as well as MMAOB. Yeah, if you want to take my bets for the events, I have a few posted already, a couple, maybe some Bellator as well, waiting for the odds to be released. Those can be found on Daily Fan MMA, on the betting hub. Yeah, good luck, guys. Thanks for having me on. Good talking with you guys, and
of course.
Have a nice evening. Yeah.
Thanks for coming, AJ. Marcel, plug your stuff.
Marcel24, Twitter, Instagram, MMADNA.nl, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you can find it.
Marcel's almost at 20,000 followers, guys. Let's get him there. And let's get me to 10,000. I'm barely there. I'm almost there. And Marcel's doubled me up. So I want to, have something to say to Marcel about this. And let's get AJ to a few thousand too. We're almost there, AJ. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Adam Martin on Twitter, bjpen.com, MMAOddsbreaker.com, mymenus.com, Elite Fantasy, Elite Betting, Fantasy Fanatics. And by the way, AJ, I wanted to ask you this quickly before we get out of here. We've got 1 minute left. How was your DFS night? Because I know you did 150 teams in the mini-max. Did you profit at all, or how was your night? Any thoughts?
It was a break even. The betting night.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I actually ended up winning a couple $100 on, which is nice. I made a ton of teams, and I will be putting in another 150 teams this week too. I'm loving the DFS. It's making me think about the fights from such a different perspective. It's such a deep perspective. It's just like not only do you have to think about who's going to win, but how they win. And that stuff to me is so interesting. So I'm excited for this week, AJ. But hey, if I can profit a couple $100 on DFS, which is hard to do, I will take that. So it's a good week, guys. Hope all you guys enjoyed it. And we'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, to break down UFC Fight Night, Font versus Garbrandt. Have a great one, guys. Peace.